Hi,
Hi,
how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Okay, first, I will tell something about myself. I
Mhm.
study skin therapy at the Yanniek University in the Netherlands. With four other students, I'm doing a project about global health, and we choose the subject domestic violence. And we are going to do a research about how to recognize and refer victims of domestic violence. First of all, is it okay if we record this video or
Yeah.
this interview?
Mhm.
Only my teacher will see it. So if
No,
you think it's fine, I
fine.
okay. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. So, my name is Yanniek. I'm originally from the Netherlands, but when I was 7, me and my family decided to move to Dubai for my dad's job, and I've been living there ever since. So we're on 14 years now. Yeah, I would say that my culture and the way I am is very much Emirati, which is the nationality, but my passport still says I'm Dutch. And
Okay.
I really like to dance, and I'm a university student now. Don't really know what else to say.
Okay, and what's your role in the community?
Well, currently, I would say a university student would be my role in the community of Dubai. But in my more personal community, I would say maybe kind of a dance coach. I often coach kids with dancing, and I really value that they give me the opportunity to do that.
Okay, nice. um, so I would like to ask you something about the healthcare in Dubai. So the first question is, how is the healthcare regulated in Dubai?
Well, the healthcare system is actually very different than in the Netherlands. We don't have to go through a home doctor and huisarts. And basically, if we wanted to go to a pediatrician or a psychologist, we can go straight to them. So, in that sense, we are not tied to one doctor. We just have insurance, and we just go to whichever doctor we need to go to. So, I would say that it's not very regulated because also, let's say I need to have a checkup on something. There's no doctor calling me, hey, Yanniek, you really have to come and get a yearly checkup or anything. So, in that sense, there's not as much regulation. Also, with if you need to get medicine, you do not need a prescription.
Okay.
So you can just get medicine over the counter. No, there doesn't need to be a note from the doctor.
Okay. And do you have something like a health insurance? Like in the Netherlands, you have a health insurance and you have to pay for that every month, and then
Yes.
you get something back of the government. But do you also have that in Dubai?
Well, in Dubai, we do have health insurance. You actually are not allowed to live in Dubai without health insurance, so everyone has to have it. It comes with a visa. And you pay for it yearly, actually, so you pay for it once a year. But you do not get anything back from the government. So you just have to pay it all yourself.
And how much is that? Is that looks like the same as in the Netherlands, or is more, or?
Well, my father did pay it for obviously most of my childhood, so I'm not actually too sure, but I'm pretty sure it's quite similar to what it is. Yeah.
Only you don't get something back.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's your opinion about the healthcare system in Dubai and compared to other countries, in particular the Netherlands?
Well, I think there are definitely benefits, but also some negative aspects. I really like in Dubai that if I have to go to a specific doctor, that I can go straight to the doctor. I don't have to waste my time by going to another doctor first. But at the same time, there is something more comforting in the Netherlands of having a doctor who is always kind of there for you, even though they're there for many people. But it's nice to have one doctor who you can always go to, which of course you could do in Dubai if you wanted to go to the same doctor, but it's not like a system like it is in the Netherlands. So yeah, I would say the benefit is going straight to a specialist doctor, but the negative is not having a more personal connection, I guess, with a doctor.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Clear. What do you know about the healthcare in the United States or Australia or Uganda? Because that are the countries that we chose for our project. So maybe you know something about it, or you don't know anything.
I don't know too much. I think in the United States, I'm pretty sure it's also more strict with like medicines that you can get, and you have to have prescriptions and that kind of thing. And I know in Australia the healthcare system is pretty good, but in Uganda, yeah, I don't really know anything about it.
Nah. Okay. So that were the questions about healthcare. Right now I have some questions about domestic violence because that's the subject we have chosen.
Yeah.
So have you had any experience with domestic violence?
Luckily, I haven't personally had any issues with it, but I have had people who were close to me who have.
Okay. Can you tell something about that, or you?
Yeah, no, sure. Well, for one, in Dubai, in general, there isn't a huge amount of domestic violence. You sometimes hear stories about more extreme Muslim families who are more disrespectful to women, but also about very extreme Muslim families who are not very kind to their help. So the nanny or the maid are sometimes abused, but you don't hear about it a lot. It's kind of like, just whispering to each other, gossiping.
Okay.
But personally, I've had a couple of friends who were abused by men. Not
like punishing or?
Sorry?
Like punishing or?
No, yeah, just like raping them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, Dubai is a very safe country, but in that aspect, there could still be improvements for sure.
And what would you like to see? The improvement. Which change would you like to see?
Well, in Dubai, actually, if you are raped by a man that you are not married to, which pretty much is every single guy who would rape, you actually get deported and sent to jail. So even if I was to be raped by a man, man is not to be punished because I had sex without being married, which is an Islamic law. So
it's not allowed to have sex before your marriage, or?
Yes, exactly. And so let's say I was raped and I needed to go to hospital or I wanted help, I wouldn't get any because I had sex without being married. So I think that there's a big problem there because there's been a lot of women who had been raped and they couldn't call the police to like catch the rapist. So that's pretty, it's pretty sad that there's a lot of women who can't get help over there. And I think if that was to be changed so that women can call the police if it was to happen, I think it would help a lot. And in more personal cases where, for example, there's a husband, I don't personally know how to fix that, but I think with time, the religion is becoming more modern as well. But it has a lot to do with the religion, actually.
Yeah, the religion in Dubai is really different in the Netherlands, I think.
Yeah.
What do you think is the big difference, or?
Well, the thing is, when you live here, you don't feel like you live in a strict country, which people, like, even now, I'm going to tell you, of course, a lot of negative things about Dubai, but when you live here, you don't necessarily feel like you're always being very, like, watched or that you have to follow all those rules. So I feel like that's a very interesting aspect, and I think it's because it's a lot of tourism as well, so a lot of people who come kind of stick to their own rules from back home. But you do always kind of carry, like, I'm not a Muslim, and I do in some ways act like I am, just because I've been brought up with the rules of Islam.
Mm-hmm.
So in some aspects, or even in some ways of thinking, I think with like an Islamic mindset, because that's kind of, the law is basically Islam. So the laws, there's things you have to follow. So for example, we're not allowed to have PDA, and now...
What do you mean with PDA?
PDA is public display of affection, so kissing, and even if I travel abroad, I still don't like to do it, because it's kind of like, I've been brought up with it being disrespectful, so I wouldn't do it anywhere. And I think that's the biggest difference, is that in maybe the Netherlands, people are not, the law is not Christianity, so I think that's the biggest difference.
Yeah.
So I'm not a Muslim person, but at the same time, I might as well be.
Yeah, I think in the Netherlands you have more freedom than in Dubai.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
that's definitely a big difference, yeah.
Okay, the next question. Mm-hmm. What's your opinion about domestic violence?
Well, obviously, I don't think it's good. I think it is becoming better with women also speaking about it, because I know, like, even 5 years ago, when people would come out with their story, they were very, like, brave. Like, people were really, like, wow, she's telling her story. And I think now it's becoming more normal, which I think is a good thing.
Yes.
That people are talking about it openly, because it's not something, of course, to be ashamed about. And all I can say is I pray that it never happens to me. But what I also want to mention is, in Dubai, we have so many different cultures. And, for example, in the Netherlands, it's very rude to stare at a girl if you're a man, or for us to stare at men. And in an Indian culture, they don't really know what personal space is, because there's so many of them in that small country. So for them, they think it's totally acceptable to stare. So if I'm walking in the street, they can be staring me up and down, and it makes me feel uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. But I have to remember that for them, they think it's totally okay. And I think that makes it harder, because, for example, the nannies and the maids who are disrespected by their extreme Islamic owners, yeah, maybe for them that's okay to do, but in the Philippines, it's not okay to do. So there's a lot of difficulties with the culture.
Yeah. I think the same. Like the Netherlands and Dubai, it's really different. And then you told about the what did you say? The Philippines?
Yeah, the Filipinos.
Yeah. Okay. But which kind of ad do you have in Dubai for domestic violence? So to which professional you have to go, or you don't know?
Well, so that's, like I said before, it's quite hard for women to get help.
Yes.
They often kind of just leave the country, because, like, if it's a maid or something, for example, or a nanny who's being abused by her boss, which is usually the family, the father of the family, they would usually go back to the Philippines whenever they could, get their passport and leave. But let's say you were raped or abused in that sense, you obviously can't go to the police, but you would be able to go to the hospital, and you would just go, I guess, to the emergency room or a specialist doctor and be treated there.
Okay. But don't...
If it would go under your insurance. I'm not sure about that.
No. So, the people who punish have to pay for their own, like their own damage, but they don't did it by themselves. So it's really.
There really needs to be some improvement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think in every country it's a huge problem. So it needs improvement.
Definitely.
The next question. Did you ever read or see something about domestic violence?
Well, the media in Dubai is pretty, let's say, censored. And like I said before, if we ever heard about a maid being abused by her boss, the way in which we hear it is because she told someone else and then they told our maid. So we used to have a maid who would come with these stories and say, like to us, say, can you please arrange a phone because we really need to like help the maid escape the house because he's being abused by her boss. So the only way we would ever hear about those stories is through kind of like a social circle, but it would never ever be published in a newspaper.
No?
No.
Okay. But I think it's really hard for the victim to go to a professional. They only go to their own people, family, and talk about it, but not to
a lot of them are like locked up. They can't even leave the house.
Yeah. Oh, it's really.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. Like after punishing something, someone maybe you can something get like scars or burns or bruises. So what do you know about burns, scars, and bruises?
Well, I personally, of course have some scars, not from domestic violence, however, but I've never seen, like, even for my friends who were sexually abused, I never saw them have any, like, scars or bruises. Maybe some bruises, but, like, nothing.
Not from domestic violence.
Serious, yeah.
Okay. But if someone has bruises or scars or burns, like to which professional they go? Like in the Netherlands, you have skin therapy and or dermatology. I don't know if you.
Dermatologist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you have in Dubai for these diseases?
Well, in Dubai, you have a lot of dermatologists, and I even, at one point, I had really bad acne, so I went to a dermatologist.
Okay.
And when I got there, it wasn't really a dermatologist. It was more like a plastic surgery clinic. And I think there's a lot of those because obviously people are very obsessed with their appearance over here. But they do have dermatologists in the hospitals and also skin doctors, or I don't know what the official name is, and they would be able to help you.
Okay. And it's possible to go to the dermatologist without going to the doctor, like you said in the beginning.
You can just make an appointment, yeah.
Okay. It's fine. Did you ever heard about a skin therapist?
No, I mean not necessarily a skin therapist, only a dermatologist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost the same, but they know a little bit more about cancer and they can cut, and we are not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
So that's are the big difference.
But isn't dermatology only for the face?
No, it's
the whole body.
The whole body.
Okay.
That were the questions about domestic violence. So I would like to ask you some questions about the media. Which kind of media do you use?
Well, I use pretty much all the social medias that exist, and any other media that I use, I don't know. I don't really watch the news or read the newspaper or anything. So I mostly do, use social media actually.
Like Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. You also have the same in Dubai, or do you have different than in the Netherlands?
No, we do have pretty much all the same, but there are some restrictions within the apps. So on Snapchat, for example, I can't like call you or video chat you through the app. So here and there's restrictions.
Okay.
On what you use, yeah.
Okay. Have you seen something about domestic violence in the media in Dubai?
No.
No.
I don't think I've ever seen anything about a specific case. There was times where the workers, like the people who are building the buildings, like the laborers, they would go to the beach and take photos of women like on the beach, which isn't necessarily domestic violence, but it's still disrespecting women. And that, for example, made it to the newspaper. But if a laborer were to ever actually abuse someone, it wouldn't be posted.
So people who don't know the woman take pictures of the woman, and then it would go to the newspaper.
For their own pleasure, yeah. People are very strange.
Okay, it's really weird.
Yeah.
For me, Dubai looks really rich, beautiful, enormous. I think also in the media. So,
Yeah.
do you have the same feeling about Dubai, or do you think no, it's really different behind the facts?
The facts, yeah, no. I definitely do see a different side. Of course, I do see the rich. There is the rich, there is the enormous. It does exist. But for me, that isn't the whole of Dubai. And Dubai wants to portray themselves as this perfect place. And at one point, it was actually raining really hard in Dubai, and it was flooding. And if you posted anything about the rain on social media, you could be fined.
Why?
Yeah, because they didn't want people to know that it rained in Dubai. Yeah,
it seems like something negative.
It sounds like a joke, yeah. And just like they do in Turkey, they regulate social media. And so there are stories, for example, about like if I said a swear word on WhatsApp to someone, they could go to the police and they could fine me for saying a swear word. Like, they monitor everything, every conversation, every WhatsApp conversation, every phone call, everything is monitored. So if you were to also say something bad about Dubai or its people on Facebook, you probably get fined and maybe even deported.
So it's only allowed to say something positive about Dubai.
And that is helping them create this perfect image.
Yeah.
That doesn't really exist. There's a lot of stuff that happens that doesn't make the media. I think probably 30% goes online and the rest stays hidden.
Now, did you ever see something negative about Dubai in the media?
I see negative stuff about Dubai all the time in media from other countries. Like once there was this British woman who literally came, she flew into Dubai as like a stopover to go somewhere else. And she wrote a whole article about Dubai in a very negative light. And everyone in Dubai...
But she's be there for like maybe 1 hour.
There for 3 hours or something. And the people who live in Dubai, even though we are not given a passport or a home or anything, we still really feel like it's our home and that we belong there. And so we are very protective of our country because we know how it really is. So as soon as someone says, negative things that aren't true, then we do get very protective, I think, as a country.
But I think there are really negative things about Dubai. Every country is not perfect, so...
Oh, of course.
Why is it not possible to put something negative about Dubai on?
Well, we're also a very young city. We're only, I think this year was 47 years old. I could be totally wrong, but I feel like it was 47 or 48. So I think for the years that we've been Dubai, we've already grown a lot, and obviously they still have room to learn and to grow. I think it's just gonna come. I think everything happened so fast because when I first moved here, everything was just sand and there was no buildings or anything. So even in 15 years, how much they've done, I think maybe even it went too fast.
Are they still growing, or?
Yeah, there's still cranes everywhere.
Okay.
I've lived in like a construction site for the last 15 years.
But you said it's really difficult to get I don't know how to say a visum or a house in Dubai for strangers. So how did you get that?
Well, you cannot live in Dubai unless you have a working visa. So basically, you have to have a job in order to live in Dubai. We also don't have any homeless or unemployed people just because, well, you have to go back to your home country then. So basically, let's say there's also people who come to Dubai on a tourist visa and then look for a job and then change their visa. But and then for me, for girls, I can stay under my dad's visa and I wouldn't have to work necessarily or be a student or anything. I can just be under my dad's visa.
Okay.
But for guys, once you turn 18, you cannot be underneath your parents' visa anymore.
So you need to work.
You have to work or you have to get a visa from your university.
Okay, it's allowed to have a student visa, or is it possible to go?
But when you have a student visa, you're not allowed to work.
No.
So you can't earn any money on the side.
And you can't abort.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have seen something negative about Dubai because I've seen the documentaire of The Escape of Dubai, The Mystery of the Missing Princess.
Yeah.
And I was really sad after seeing the documentary because the ruler of Dubai punished his own daughter. So how do you feel about the ruler of Dubai treating his own daughter?
I mean, I still remember in the beginning of the year seeing her video that she posted onto social media, and in the documentary it stated that she would post it if she wasn't if she didn't make it, and it was really like shocking. I never knew anything about her or the situation that they were in, and that she was held captive and everything. So even I, for someone who lived in 15 years in the country, had no idea that was going on, which I think is pretty crazy because, of course we don't know everything about everyone, but such a big thing, you would imagine that you know about it. But yeah, I really don't know how a father can do that to his daughter, but then at the same time, he has 7 wives and 30 children probably, and so it's not kind of the same as a normal Dutch family, like in the Netherlands. So, we can try to understand, but in really extreme Islamic law or rules of the religion, it's okay to abuse a woman if she isn't following your order, which is a ridiculous rule, but it's the way it is. So she was disrespecting her father's wishes, and so he found it okay to disrespect her and abuse her, and we don't know what he's doing to her, but he's keeping her captive. So in Islam religion, it's seen as okay, which I find crazy, but I guess it's normal for them, or like it's their culture or belief.
Yeah, but it's not possible to do something against the the punishing that her father did to her, because it are the rules. So she makes a documentaire so everyone can see it.
Yeah.
And nothing has changed, or
well, the documentary only was released like 2 weeks ago, so it's very new for everyone, but I don't know if anything would be able to change, because let's say I didn't agree with it and I posted on Facebook, how dare this ruler, blah 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 blah, then I'm gonna be put in jail for saying that.
Yeah, because you said something negative about Dubai or the ruler of Dubai.
I don't see anything happening about it unfortunately, I mean, unless the whole population went against him, but it's never going to happen because he is like
he's the
God.
man.
He is the ruler. So it's kind of like the same as how British people look up to the Queen. It's how the people in Dubai look up to the ruler. So yeah, I don't think anything is going to change, unfortunately.
No, unfortunately. Okay, so I have a few last questions. Our final assessment is to make something what we would like to do. So we would like to make a website for professionals, how they can recognize and refer victims of domestic violence. So what would you like to advise us to put on the website, or maybe pictures, or...
If I understand correctly, it's for people who are victims. They can go speak to people.
Yeah, it's the website is more for professionals, so they really don't know or how to recognize or refer victims of domestic violence. So it's a website to know more about how to recognize it. So yeah.
I think it sounds definitely interesting, and I think something like that doesn't, well, at least if I even Google a symptom that I'm feeling, it's always very directed to the patient and not necessarily for the professional. So I do think it's really interesting that you guys are doing that. What I would advise, maybe like videos of situations where, or like even like a test where there's maybe like 4 interviews and you can learn about different kind of maybe a little bit of psychology, or like how someone tells,
like the first impression, like
or like how to see, like learning how to pick up someone who has been through it and doing that through maybe like a video test or something.
I think you have to see more people who has lived with domestic violence to recognize it. Okay. And so I've told something more about our project and the website. And what's your opinion about our project and website?
Well, I think it's really great that you guys are doing it about domestic violence, because it's really something that I feel like needs to be spoken about more, and also giving professionals a place to go and learn, develop further for themselves, would really help everyone involved, really. So I think it's really nice.
Okay, fine. I also think the same, and I really like this project, and I would say thank you very much for your time and your
of course
your answers. So thank you.
No worries.
Okay, bye.